I saw a video the other day of this guy eating a Big Mac, and I've never wanted a Big Mac more in my entire life.
They're underrated.
They are underrated, but I just, you know, Big Macs, guys. I mean, I have a dilemma, obviously. I can't even have words for it. It's like, they're underrated, but they're classic. And so it's like, because it's a classic, is it underrated?
Classic.
I don't know. All I know is I saw this video, and guys, I want a Big Mac. So maybe you guys can just go have one for me. Just go get a Big Mac, you know? Guys, be part of the hashtag, be part of the movement. Big Mac for Maya. Perfect. Well, guys, Maya here. We're so glad you're here. We're so glad you're going to partake in the Big Mac for Maya movement, but we're more glad that you're here with us at Miles City Online. Happy Sunday to you. Thanks for taking some time to spend with us this Sunday morning. Hey, if it's your first time here, you know, hang on for the entire thing. It's not that long, and there's some really, really sweet, encouraging things that we all need. And so we want to explore those together, experience those together. So make sure you hang on for the whole service. Something else that's really cool that happens is if you have kids in the room, we have something for them too. So make sure that they hang on for after the service, because Kids City is right after the message, and it's got so many sweet things that is designed and geared just for their age group that they're going to love as they move towards God on their own journey as well. So make sure they catch it. But you know, if you got some big things going on, maybe today is the day that you're going to go get a Big Mac, and so you got to take off. Your kids can catch Kids City online at any time, anywhere, stream it as many times as they want. Just go to milescity.com/kids and they can catch it there. Something really cool happening. We do it every year here at Miles City. It is called Apex, and that just means the inside edge. And what we do is we get everybody that helps build the church, the local church, at both of our locations, people that are on all of our teams, serving in kids, we get them all together. And we just give them an inside scoop of what's going on in Miles City, what's coming up in the next year, so they can celebrate and pray for it. And so we want to invite you to register for Apex. If you're part of the crew, or you've been thinking like, you know what, I want to start going to Miles City in person, I want to serve, this is a great night to come to experience that and find out more about that. And so all you have to do is go to milescity.com/events, look for the button, or look for the box that says Apex, and just click on there and register. It'll be a great night together. We'll have a little treat together, and you'll find out what's coming up in Miles City in the coming year. We want you guys to be a part of that, so make sure you take a chance, come to Apex, and get the inside edge. Guys, last week we talked about our team going to Puerto Rico for the first time for the mission trips, and they went and they came back, and there is so many amazing stories of life change, the impact that they made in Puerto Rico, that we don't have enough time to share it here, but we just want to celebrate that, celebrate our team, look at all the sweet pictures they have, smiling faces, tired bodies, but for a good cause. And so thanks for being a part of that. Make sure you continue to pray for the team, pray for the impact that's going on over there. But we also just want to say thank you so much for being part of that, celebrating for that, praying for that, being generous towards that. Thanks for being a part of that. If you want to be generous here at Miles City, you want to give here at Miles City to everything that's going on inside but far outside of these walls, all you have to do is text the word Miles City to 94,000. Follow the prompts for generosity, and then that'll take you there. It's really easy to do. We just want to thank you so much for being a huge part of the mission and vision here at Miles City, and just helping us go further, faster. We couldn't do what God's put on our hearts without you, and so we just thank you so much for all that you do. Today is week 3 of our series, Ghosted, that we've been in. It's a relationship series. If you've missed any of those talks, we want to encourage you to go back. You go to milescity.com/talks, find all the other talks. They're really great. But today's going to be fun because we're talking about friendships. Friendships are something we all have, something we all need. And so I'm really looking forward to kind of discovering this last talk with you guys. So today our main man, Travis Whitaker, is bringing us the last week of our series, Ghosted. So Travis, take it away.
Well, I hope you're excited to be at church today as we land the plane on our Ghosted Relational series. And, with Halloween being tomorrow, it made me think about how sometimes when it comes to relationships, let's be real, sometimes they can be a little scary. Sometimes they can kind of catch us off guard, if you will. Like, if you're just watching the screen like this and you're trying to figure out, okay, what's on the screen? What's on the screen? And sometimes it just kind of can come out of nowhere. Whoop. Sorry, I know that was kind of cheesy. Maybe I scared some of you, but that's just who I am. Anyways, we don't want that. We don't want that type of coming out of nowhere, scary type relationships. We want relationships to look and feel a little more like this, right? A little more like Casper, the friendly ghost that you can count on, that's always going to be there, that's always going to be on your side. Those are the types of relationships that we want. But let's be real. Finding those types of relationships are hard to come by, especially in the technological world that we live in today and everyone's behind their screens. It's harder to have that human interaction, to find those great relationships that last a lifetime. And then look out if you get like the wrong type of friends. It reminds me of the Proverbs in 13:20 when it says this: whoever walks with the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. And isn't that the truth? And some of us, as we know, we've experienced those types of bad friendships. And so the importance of having those great, strong relationships is worth fighting for. Because come on, who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want a good, great relationship? Because when you find those great relationships, the joy and the peace that it brings and how it takes the grind out of life, come on, give me some more of that. And so today what we're going to do, we're going to split up this talk into two different halves. And the first half, we're going to be asking this question. We're going to be asking, what type of friend should I be looking for? And we're going to look at three different characteristics, three different types of attributes of a type of friend that we should be looking for. But not only are we going to ask that question, we're going to also ask the same question kind of reverse: is, am I becoming the friend people are looking for? Am I producing those types of attributes to people around me? Am I that type of friend? And then in the second half, what we're going to do is we're going to ask ourselves the questions of, what do you do when a friend ghosts you? Like when someone literally drops you and they literally vanish from you. And you know that feeling when you make that third or fourth or fifth voicemail attempt and there's still no response, or you're texting over and over and over again and all you see is the right side, and then sometimes you see this, which I didn't know, side note, this is, some people refer to this as a ghost. That when you see those three dots, you know that they saw your text and those three dots popped up, and yet still nada, nothing. And the feelings that just can bring inside of you, the angst and the anxiety and the anger and the self-esteem issues and all the stuff that just can make you swirl in your mind, just the tension of being ghosted. And so today, to help us investigate these three questions, we're going to be looking at a story that we find in the book of Psalms chapter 55 from a man by the name of Ahithophel. Say that with me, Ahithophel, who fell, pun intended, off a cliff when it came to being a good friend. And we're going to see how he ghosted his friend named David. And our hope is that as we look at this ghosting experience, it'll help us make better decisions when it comes to our friends, and it will help us prevent maybe being ghosted in some of our relationships and help us be the friends that we need to be. But before we dive in, I just want to pray for you and pray for me. And so, Father, I just ask in the name of your Son that you would help us to grab onto what we need to grab onto today. Control my mind and my speech as I communicate, and I pray this in the power of your Son's name, Jesus. Amen. Well, hey, if you have a copy of the scriptures, please open it up to the book of Psalms. You just kind of open up in the middle of your Bible and you'll probably find Psalms right there. We're going to be in Psalms chapter 55 where we see this severed, broken, ghosted friendship scenario. Now, most likely, this psalm is referring to the time when King David's third son, Absalom, completely started to revolt and go against his father, King David. And I'm not going to get into all the history here, but a little reason for that is because Absalom was a little frustrated with his father because of how he handled his sister Tamar, who was raped. And so Absalom didn't like how his sister was dealt by her father and the whole situation that went down. And so he started to revolt and try to get people in Jerusalem to go against his father. And so scholars go back and forth on this, but some are in agreement, many are in agreement, that this was written right when the revolt was getting started. And so this would mean that literally David was still in Jerusalem while people were turning on him, and not just any type of people, but even his closest companion, who we would see in the book of Samuel, would be the man Ahithophel. And so this is where the story picks up. We're going to kick off in verse 11. It says this. This is King David talking. He says, everything is falling apart. Everything's falling apart. Threats and cheating are rampant in the streets. It is not an enemy who taunts me. I could bear that. It is not my foes who arrogantly insult me. I could have hidden from them. But then he says this, and he kind of switches his language to talking specifically to Ahithophel. He says, instead it is you. You were my equal, my companion, and my close friend. What good fellowship we once enjoyed as we walked together to the house of God. We worshiped together. We fellowshiped together. He's basically saying here, he's like, look, I can deal with threats. I can deal with the chaos. I can deal with enemies. But when it's my own stinking friend, my close companion, my closest companion, I mean, everything's falling apart. And maybe that's what you can relate with today. Because you feel like everything's falling apart because of a ghosted, broken, severed relationship. But isn't it interesting? No matter all the other chaos or financial or other issues you might be having, when you have a broken relationship, isn't it crazy how it can just kind of take everything and take the forefront of your mind? And maybe that's how you feel today. It reminds me of Proverbs chapter 18, verse 24, where it says, there are friends who destroy each other, but a real friend sticks closer than a brother, sticks closer than a brother, showing us the importance when it comes to looking for good friends. We need to find friends that are reliable. Reliable. Do you have friends that are reliable, that you can depend on? Put it up. Reliable, that you can depend on, who will show you, who will practice and model selflessness, that will make you the priority over their own. That will literally model Philippians 2:4, where it says that we put others' interest above our own interests. Who are the reliable people, the charitable, selfless people in your life? I can think of so many different people in my life, but I think specifically of my father-in-law, Steve. I mean, always reliable, always dependable. I mean, just this past week, a couple miles down the road, Jen hit a construction sign, which is a whole other sermon for another time, okay? So there we are 2 miles from the road, and then I get there to help her, and, we have the minivan, and if you didn't know, like minivans, they don't, for some reason, have spare tires anymore. They give you a can of Fix-A-Flat. When the tire's blown up, what the heck is Fix-A-Flat going to do? That's a whole other sermon for another time. And so there I am 2 miles away from the house, driving 2 miles an hour all the way back like this, all my neighbors waving at my neighbors. It was great. It was fun. So then, the schedule's crazy, the Ubering the kids everywhere. I have 2 really sad funerals I got to do. And then I couldn't find the actual lug nut, to take it off. And so there he is, Steve, to the rescue, dependable, reliable, shows up, freezing cold, drops everything to come and help me, and then takes the tire early in the morning to Discount Tire, and then by 8:15 a.m., the car's ready to go and rocking. Always reliable, always dependable, putting our priorities and our interests above himself. Do you have reliable friends? Do you have those dependable friends that, if you do, lean into them? Don't neglect them. But then it also asks the question, when people are asking that question, do I have a reliable friend? Does your name ever come up? Are you a reliable, charitable, selfless friend? Are you a friend that makes your friends a priority more than yourself? What does it look like for you and for me to be more reliable friends for other people? Find those reliable friends and be a reliable friend. It continues. We'll go to verse 15 where it says this, let death stalk my enemies. Let the grave swallow them alive, for evil makes its home within them. But I will call on God, and the Lord will rescue me. Morning, noon, and night I cry out in my distress, and the Lord hears my voice. It continues. He ransoms me, and he keeps me safe from the battle waged against me. Though many still oppose me, God, who has ruled forever, will hear me and humble them. For my enemies refuse to change their ways. They do not fear God. Now, he doesn't come right out and just say this, but in the midst of David's broken heart and the abandonment and the ghosting that he's feeling from his friend Ahithophel, he's basically saying, like, listen, if he's not going to care, if he's not going to show up, if he's not going to listen to me, I know who will. I know who I can count on. I know who I can call on. I know who will ransom me. I know who will keep me safe. I know who will listen to me. And then he says it twice, I know who will hear me. Which brings up the idea that not only are we supposed to strive to have friends that are reliable, but we're supposed to strive to have friends that are thoughtful, that care, that think about the details, that are good listeners, that take time to slow down and really hear what's going on in your mind and in your heart, to say, hey, how are you doing? Busy. Well, what's beyond busy? How are you doing? I'm good. Well, what's beyond the good? Ask a friend that slows down enough to ask you the tough questions. Do you have those types of friends in your life? Do you have that type of friend in your life? And then here's the other question, as we turn it around on us. When that question's asked, does anyone ever bring your name up? Are you a friend that is a good listener, or are you always talking too much? And you know who you might be. What does it mean for you to be a better listener, to pay attention to the details, to be a thoughtful friend to others? It continues. It says, as for my companion, he betrayed his friends and he broke his promises. He broke the covenant. The friend Ahithophel broke his promise and his covenant relationship with David. He wasn't the friend through thick and thin. He wasn't the friend through all the ups and the downs. The commitment, I guess, wasn't deep. It must have been a little shallow. Reminding us that we not only need to have friends that are reliable and thoughtful, but we need to strive to have friends that are loyal friends, which, by the way, takes time. Fine like wine. Like literally, relationships like this are relationships that mature over time, that they'll defend you, they'll have your back, they'll go to battle for you. I mean, you got to think about this. I mean, David, this was his closest bro, one of his closest counselors and confidants at this time. And yet here, Ahithophel takes and sides with his son. I mean, think about how distraught this was making David feel. Like, I guess our love for one another wasn't as deep as I thought. Which reminds me of when Jesus said in John 15:13, there is no greater love than to lay one's life for one's friend. And David wasn't alive to hear those words come out of Jesus' mouth. But if he would have heard them, I guess he would have said, I guess that's not us, Ahithophel. There was no loyalty. A loyal friend is no matter what you've gone through, no matter how many times you've even dropped the ball, that they're constant and they're still there for you. These are the types of friends that love you for who you are, not for what you do. These are not Facebook friends. These are lifelong, faithful to the end type of friends. Who are your loyal friends? Do you have them? Make a mental note of them. Lean into those friends. Don't neglect those types of friendships. You know, for those of you that are married in the room, hopefully you would say that your spouse is one of those loyal friends. And man, that's awesome. I would consider Jen a loyal to the end, faithful friend. But it's also important for all the guys out there listening. You also need to have some bros, some loyal bro friends. And for all you ladies listening, it's so important to have those loyal lady friends. Who are those in your life? I can think of many different friends in my life that I could say that are loyal friends, but one of the friends, the bros that comes up into my mind would be Maya Williams, our Lion location pastor. We've been friends for over a decade, and you know, we've been through ups and downs in our own personal lives and in our own relationship together, and yet through it all, we've stayed loyal to one another. And I'll never forget, you know, when my wife and I, Jen, moved from Columbus, Ohio, back home to Detroit, We were just kind of feeling deflated and wondering what's next. Maya, for almost probably a year and a half, would literally drive 3.5 hours on the weekends to just come hang out, just to like be there. And sometimes it'd be twice a month. And then when the church got started, he was coming again still. And I remember telling him, I was like, Maya, like, I got to be honest with you, like, you either come by yourself or you get the kids in the minivan and the whole family comes. Like, if the roles were reversed, I don't know if I would do that for you, man. I mean, I would literally, I've told him this, and I still think this. Maya is more of a loyal friend to me than I am to him. And I'm thankful for that. I truly am, and it challenges me how I need to be more of a loyal friend back to him. And so, do you have those loyal friends? And then, does anyone ever say your name when they ask, who's my loyal friend? Does your name ever come up? What does it look like for you to be more of a loyal friend? Where might you need to stir up and pick up the pace when it comes to your loyalty towards others? May we be people that pursue friends that are reliable, that are thoughtful, and that are loyal. And may we strive to become friends that are reliable and thoughtful and loyal. But what do we do when those reliable friends, those thoughtful, good listening friends, those loyal friends, all of a sudden out of nowhere drop us? They ghost us, they vanish. What do we do? How do we respond? Let's keep going in verse 21 where it says this. He's talking about Ahithophel. His words are smooth as butter, but his heart is at war. His words are as soothing as lotion, but underneath are daggers. And we got to assume that David did what he could do to try to reason with Ahithophel and ask the questions, why are you doing this? But even in the smoothness of his words, and sometimes people can be like that, they'll smooth their words to manipulate, to make you think that you're the problem. In the midst of it, they're never going to change. And so what does this remind us? It reminds us in the words that Paul says in Hebrews 12:14. When people ghost us, it's this idea of we make every effort to live in peace with everyone, and to be holy. Without holiness, no one will see the Lord. And so Paul is reminding us, especially when it comes to ghosting relationships, that what do? We make every effort for peace. We do all that we can do. We take ownership. We let them know where we've dropped the ball. We seek forgiveness. Even if we don't really even think that we need to, we just do it anyways. We make sure that we take ownership in every area, and we make sure that we let them know. And if they don't respond and if they don't come back, be at peace. Make every effort for peace. And then release. I know it rhymes. Make every effort for peace and then release. Let it go. Just let it go. Drop it. And here's the thing. Then you got to forgive, and then you got to move on. And remember, I like to always say there's a difference between forgiveness and reconciliation, but we as humans, we like to blend the two. We forgive. You have the power to do that, but you don't have the power for reconciliation. It takes two for that. And sometimes you might never see reconciliation, maybe only on the other side of heaven. And so, make every effort for peace. Do what you can do. And then after you make every effort for peace, you know what you need to be? Be at peace. Be at peace. Stop blaming yourself. Or here's another way that I like to put it like this. Don't let getting ghosted keep you feeling toasted. You're welcome for that. I thought that was pretty, sorry, but you get the point. Don't let getting ghosted keep you feeling toasted. Stop blaming yourself. If you did all that you can do, you got to move on. Stop, I could have done that, or I could have done this, or maybe I didn't do that. And you make up all these false scenarios and all these imaginary fairy tales of things that most likely didn't even happen. You have to remember this. This is so, so true. Ghosters, those that ghost people, oftentimes, they're straight up cowards. And for those of you that are listening, hey, just don't be too sensitive, but hear me out. If you're ghosting someone intentionally right now, you're a coward. You're a coward. You don't have the courage and the strength to step up and care enough and have the character enough to deal with it and fight for unity, to make every effort for peace. Even if there's no reconciliation, have the decency and the audacity to actually care enough and the boldness enough to make peace. And so, listen, if you're getting ghosted, be at peace. If you've done all that you can do, be at peace. It's on them now. It's not on you. Then, so it says we got to make every effort for peace. We got to be at peace. And then here's the best one. Go to the source of peace. It's the best part. Listen to what David says in verse 22. He says, cast your burdens on the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never permit the righteous to be moved. Notice how he says, cast your burdens on the Lord. On the Lord first. He doesn't say, cast your cares on people first. Oftentimes when we have relational hurt, we'll run to people talking about our people issues. This is a great reminder for us. Before we run to people to talk about our people issues, we need to run to God to talk about our people issues, because he's the one that's going to give us peace first that the people that we're talking to are not going to be able to give us. Go to him first. And when you go to him first, it also saves you from falling into the trap of gossiping and slandering other people. Because remember what the scripture says in Titus right here. It says this, speak evil of no one. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you fill in the blank of someone that you think is pretty evil. But I'm pretty sure that no one in the Greek language means no one. Speak evil of no one. Don't allow the people that are ghosting you to don't allow them to keep winning, to keep you sinning in the art and the sin of gossip. So it says, cast your burdens on the Lord. Cast your burdens on the Lord and he will sustain you. Well, what does that mean? Like, what does that look like? It reminds me of the great passage that Jesus said in Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 through 30. He says, just drink this in. Drink this in. This is one of the best portions of scripture from Jesus. What does he say? Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden. All who labor with emotional and relational tension, and I will give you rest. Then he says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. When we come to Jesus with our hurt, especially our relational hurt, what does it do? It allows us to connect to him more than our hurt. It allows us to connect to him more than our hurt. And Jesus says, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. What the heck is he talking about? Jesus was a master in taking analogies and symbols and metaphors to help drive home a point. And so when his crowd was listening to him, when he says, my yoke is easy, he's referring to the ox of a yoke. We'll put it up like that. If you're all by yourself, and you're carrying the load, and you got the plow behind you, and it's the dirt and the clay, it's heavy, and it's hot, and it's just tough, and it's rough. He says, no, take my yoke upon you, which the yoke connects to the other oxen. Don't connect to the things of the world. Connect to me, and when you connect to me, I will make your burden light. You will learn from me, and I will help you handle the burden. He doesn't take you out of the burden. Jesus promised that in this world you will have trouble, but take heart, for I have overcome the world. You will still have some of the burden, but I will come alongside of you. So he says, cast your cares, cast your hurt, cast your pain upon me. Stop trying to carry more than you're capable of. He's saying, attach your life to me, to your one forever true friend who will never let you down. He is the source of where you will find true peace and all of your relational tensions. How amazing is it to think that our Creator offers us, you and me, a relationship where we can connect to him and take on his yoke, that he doesn't force on us, that we have to receive as his free gift. And then he calls us friend. I mean, going back to the passage that I said earlier, he says, greater love has no one than this, that someone laid down his life for his friends. And then he says this, Jesus says this, you are my friends. God in the flesh, imagine being in that crowd. God in the flesh looks out and says, you are my friends. If you do what I command you, no longer do I call you servants, for the servant does not know what his master is doing, but I have called you friends. Listen, everyone on this planet, every human being, every animal, every breathing creature will let you down. They're going to let you down. They're always going to drop the ball. Your kid's going to drop the ball. They're going to let you down. Your parents are going to drop the ball. Your grandparents, your spouse is going to drop the ball. Your friends are going to drop the ball. Everyone is going to fall short. They're not going to always be reliable. They're not going to always be thoughtful. They're not going to always be loyal. But this friend, the friend that we can have in Jesus, will always be reliable, will always be thoughtful, will always be loyal, will always be selfless. So much so, and he proved it by laying his life down for you and for me on the cross when he died for us. And maybe some of you say, well, why did he die for us? I didn't ask him to. You didn't ask him to, but you needed him to. I needed him to. Because every single one of us in this room, because we have the tendency to drop the ball and, not be the friend that we need to be to other people, you know what that's called? That's called sin. We all haven't been the perfect friends, have we? Well, because of that sin, that one sin of not being a perfect friend to other people, has separated us from the one true God. And so God decided, I'm going to make a way so that there is no more separation. So that's why he sent Jesus, God in the flesh, modeling what perfection, what a perfect friend should be. And then he was willing, and he sacrificed his life. And he did it to pay a penalty for our sin. And not only did he die on a cross, but he not only paid as a ransom, but then he conquered the grave, proving that he truly was God, and rose from the dead, proving that he truly is God and that he truly is a friend to you and me that will never let us down. When all hope was lost, everyone was like, there's no way. Okay, he said, we all thought he was God, and then I guess not. And then 3 days later, he proved to everyone, no, I am. I'm your king. I'm your God. And I'm your constant friend. And then he says, come to me. Attach yourself to me. My yoke is easy. Aren't you tired of carrying the burdens of all of your stuff on your own? Jesus says, come to me, and I will give you rest. Stop attaching yourself to people and to the things of the world, and attach yourself to Jesus, and he will give you rest, not only here on this earth, but he will give you rest for eternity. And if you've never attached yourself to Jesus, if you've never been able to receive him so that he can call you friend, then let this be the day. So wherever you're listening, just in the quietness of your heart, just say, Father, I'm attaching myself to you. Just say that. I attach myself to you. The burdens of my past and of my shame and all the stuff that I've got going on is so heavy. And so today I attach myself to you. I need you. I don't understand it all, but today I declare that I need you, Jesus. Thank you for dying for me on the cross to pay the penalty for my sin. Just say that. Thank you for dying for me. Thank you for rising again from the dead for me, proving that you're God and that you're my friend. And so right now, in this moment, I declare and I receive you, Jesus, to be the King of my life. As we continue to pray, my friends, if you truly meant that, this scripture is so clear that you will not perish. You will not be ghosted from God for eternity. But you'll have everlasting life, and your life of true peace and true joy can truly begin right now. Father, thank you so much for the gift of being known as your friend. It's just unbelievable that the creator of the universe would call me friend. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We love you and we pray this in the power of your son's name. Amen. Well, listen, if you made a decision to make Jesus your friend, to attach your life to him, then please don't walk alone. I just beg you, tell someone. Let someone know, or you can let us know by texting the number on the screen, because we want to celebrate with you and we want to answer any questions that you might have. And remember, don't walk alone, because moving together is better.
Two, three, four. Lord, I don't want to rush on ahead in my own strength when you're right here. Lord, I don't want to rush on ahead in my own strength when you're right here. I'm not in a hurry. It comes to your spirit, it comes to your presence, and it comes to your voice. I'm learning to listen, just to rest in your nearness. I'm starting to notice you are speaking. Lord, I wanna love like you, wanna feel what you feel, wanna see what you see. Lord, I wanna love like you, wanna feel what you feel, wanna see what you see. I'm not in a hurry. It comes to your spirit, it comes to your presence, it comes to your voice. I'm learning to listen, just to rest in your nearness. I'm starting to notice you are speaking. Open my eyes, I wanna see you. Open my ears, I wanna hear you speak. Tell me your thoughts, what's on your mind. I'll be your friend, I wanna see through your eyes. Open my eyes, I wanna see you. Open my ears, I wanna hear you speak. Tell me your thoughts, what's on your mind. I'll be your friend, I wanna see through your eyes. I wanna see through your eyes. I'm not in a hurry. It comes to your spirit, it comes to your presence, it comes to your voice. I'm learning to listen, just to rest in your nearness. I'm starting to notice you are speaking.
Guys, thank you so much for being here with us at Miles City Online. Thanks for helping us close out our series, Ghosted. We hope that these last 3 weeks, if you've caught them all or just today, just has, giving you some good tools to help navigate this life of relationships, marriages, friendships. We all need help in those. Those are all things that are vital to our own lives, just these relationships that God created us for. And so we hope that you were encouraged. Once again, if you missed any of those, just go to milescity.com/talks. We also want to encourage you just to come back. And by encourage you, come back. I'm just telling you, come back next week because we begin our new series, our Extra Mile series called XYZ. And you're probably wondering two things. One, what the heck's an Extra Mile series and what the heck is XYZ? Well, you know what? I don't know either. But why don't you just come back so we can discover together, find out together. You know, as Three's Company would say, come and knock on my door. I'll be waiting for you. Come on, I'm waiting. Let's discover this together. Next week, XYZ, our new series, our Extra Mile series. Can't wait to discover that with you. Thanks again for being here today, for taking some time to just explore God together here at Miles City Online. Once again, you know, be part of the movement, Big Mac for Maya. And when you're driving around town and you see a mile sign, pray for the Miles City. Kids, it's your turn.
Everything keeps telling me to quit and not go where I'm going. But I'm never ever gonna stop, and there's no sign of slowing. Ooh, not moving backward. Ooh, I'm moving forward. 'Cause you give me the power to never give up. You give me your power when it's more than enough. I made my decision, quitting's not an option. No matter how hard it gets, I know I'm in, 'cause you give me the power. I'm committed to your plan, so I'll follow all of my days. Every day you give me strength to follow after your way. 'Cause you give me the power to never give up. You give me your power when it's more than enough. I made my decision, quitting's not an option. No matter how hard it gets, I know I'm in, 'cause you give me the power. Yeah, you give me the power. Ooh, not moving backward. Ooh, I'm moving forward. 'Cause you give me the power to never give up. You give me your power and it's more than enough. I made my decision, quitting's not an option. No matter how hard it gets, I know I'm in, 'cause you give me the power. Yeah, God gives me the power. You give me the power.
Welcome to Story Lab. This week, we're talking about grit. While we take a look at the story of a group of people who were stuck between an army and, well, the Deep Red Sea. Oh, and we're also going to be doing this. Skylar.
And I'm Sebastian.
We're talking about grit, which is refusing to give up when life gets hard.
Or refusing to get it grouchy when every day for a whole week is cloudy.
I like cloudy days.
Really?
They're good for thinking and reading.
And hot chocolate.
There's actually a Cloud Appreciation Society.
For reals? Wow, there really is. You should see the stuff they have posted.
That's a lenticular cloud. They often form over mountains or even tall buildings.
Looks like a pancake. I should have had breakfast this morning.
Check this out. These cloud rolls are called morning glories. They show up when a downdraft from an advancing storm causes moist, warm air to rise and cool fast.
Looks like cloud twizzlers.
Here's another one.
What?
Mammatus clouds. They can form when ice crystals fall out of cumulonimbus storm clouds.
I'm pretty sure that's a set of a Marvel movie. I've changed my mind. I think every day should be a cloudy day.
Good, because we're about to make our own cloud right now.
Yes! Let's make it!
Step 1, find a large glass jar.
Done.
Step 2, fill a cup with ice cubes.
So far, so good.
Next, you're gonna want to take the lid off of your jar. And step 3, boil some water. And then pour it in the jar. Make sure you get a grown-up to help. And once you have a fair amount, carefully swirl it to warm up the sides.
It's hot.
Yes, it is. Next, turn the lid upside down and fill it with ice cubes. Then you're gonna let it wait for 20 seconds.
What are we supposed to do for 20 seconds?
This next part has to be fast. Step 6. What's gonna happen is you're going to remove the lid, pump hairspray into the jar, and then immediately put the lid back over it. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Can you do it?
I can do it.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
I can see it brewing.
Release the cloud.
Oh, that's so cool. Bring on the cloudy days.
Good, because there's a ginormous pillar of cloud in today's story.
It's time for
The story before the story.
Today, we're in the second book of the Old Testament, Exodus.
God made a plan to bless the whole world through one family, the Israelites. But for hundreds of years, the Israelites had been enslaved in Egypt.
They cried out to God for help, and God sent a man named Moses who faced down the king, Pharaoh. After a lot of crazy plagues, Pharaoh let the Israelites go.
But even though the Israelites were free, they're not yet safe.
And that's where our story starts.
Hey everyone! Okay, so as we all know, the Israelites were all packed up. Thousands and thousands of people, families, kids, herds, and flocks. You can imagine, they couldn't move very fast. God was leading them every step of the way, away from Egypt, appearing in a pillar of cloud during the daytime and a blazing pillar of flame at night. At last, the Israelites came to the Red Sea, which stood between them and the desert road to Canaan. But while the Israelites set up camp along the shore of the Red Sea, back in the palace, Pharaoh was having serious second thoughts.
What have we done? We've lost all our workers. Prepare 600 chariots at once.
Pharaoh jumped in his chariot and led an army of chariots and horsemen racing across the desert after the Israelites. The galloping horses and rattling chariots kicked up clouds of dust, and soon the Israelites could see them coming. There was no way they could outrun the Egyptian army. The Israelites were trapped.
Why did you bring us out in the desert to die?
It would have been better to stay in Egypt than die out here.
The Israelites wanted to give up, but Moses kept his eyes fixed firmly on God.
Don't be afraid. Stand firm. The Lord will save you today. The Lord will fight for you. Just be still.
Right there, in a place that seemed like a trap, God spoke to Moses.
Hold out your walking stick. Reach out your hand over the Red Sea to divide the water.
Divide the water? Okay, that is not what water does. But God's presence in the pillar of cloud moved from the front of the Israelite caravan and stood behind them all night to block them from view of the Egyptians. Moses reached his hand over the sea. Through the night, God sent a strong wind to push back the waters. Soon, the Israelites faced a dry path right through the middle of the Red Sea. I mean, can you imagine what it must have felt like? You're at the edge of a vast sea, but straight ahead the water just pop, splits. I mean, ginormous walls of water rise up on either side of the path before you. Sure, I mean, you want to escape the Egyptians, but if you walk along this path, the waters could fall on you. I mean, it must have taken every ounce of courage and grit they had. But the Israelites followed Moses along that path, straight through the heart of the sea. All night, those families hurried toward freedom. But the Egyptians gave chase. They followed the Israelites right into the Red Sea. At last, the Israelites made it through. But the Egyptians were right behind them. God spoke to Moses again.
Reach out your hand over the sea.
As Moses reached out his hand, those walls of water began to crash down, and the sea rushed back into place, washing over the Egyptian horses and chariots. The entire Egyptian army was swept away. The Israelites were left safe and dry on the far side of the Red Sea. Moses' sister Miriam led them in a song of celebration.
I will sing to the Lord, he is greatly honored. The Lord gives me strength and protects me. He has saved me.
The end.
Whoa, things must have felt so out of control for Moses and the Israelites.
Oh, for sure. But God was in control the whole time. God opened up a way for them to just keep going.
So, what's our part in the story?
Well, there are some times when you feel stuck, right? Like maybe one particular subject at school is super hard for you and you feel like it'll never get easier. Keep going. Because God knows what you're facing. God will walk with you the whole way through.
Or you're just starting in a new school and haven't been able to make friends just yet. Don't give up. God can help you find friends when you least expect it.
And best of all, God gave us Jesus to show what it looks like to keep going.
Exactly. I mean, Jesus didn't give up loving us, even though it cost him his life. And when we follow Jesus, we have the power of the Holy Spirit to keep going too.
That is amazing news.
Isn't it? All right, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye, Erica. So here's the thing. Hold on, because God is still in control. Knowing that can help you grow grit.
And God makes some pretty incredible clouds.
Is that a dog?
That's definitely a werewolf howling.
Thanks for joining us in the Story Lab. See you next time.
I think that one's Winnie the Pooh.